I'm Alex of All Trades, and this is the Sunday Book Circle for Late Success by Gary Shteyngart. Watch for those spoilers. This book was advertised to me as being funny. I didn't think that at all. It just made me uncomfortable. Overall, it is very good, an amazing novel, but you might not want to read it if you feel done with the 2016 politics. All the characters feel very real and complicated. The things they experience are also very real. It's about a Jewish hedge fund manager who runs away when his business is facing a crisis and his family isn't what he dreamed it would be. So he hops on a Greyhound bus during the 2016 election in search of his college love and the hope he used to have. Barry is called a white man throughout most of the novel, which I thought was a bit odd since he is Jewish, and saying that that's not a minority is dangerous territory. I know a fair few number of Jewish words, but he used some I've never heard. He also is the child of an unconventional and lower income home, his mother having died in a car accident when he was young, and his dad having cleaned pools for a living, all of which suggests less privilege. He also very obviously had an untreated anxiety disorder, what with the friend moves, the conversation trees, the hatred of surprises, and the obsession with watches. This is really why he ran away. It's also why I didn't find anything that happened to him to be funny in the slightest. I also didn't find his inability to actually connect with people to be rooted in racism or privilege. If anything, it was rooted in ignorance and the trying way too hard to overcome who his father was and who he was afraid he was. It made me sad and scared. I felt horrible for Barry. He wasn't a terrible person. He still deserved love and happiness as everyone does. There are very few people whose bad actions wouldn't be solved with happiness. Serial killers. I don't believe that most hedge fund managers and CEOs are like Barry. Pretty fair number of CEOs are literally sociopaths, but Barry wasn't. If anything, he felt too much. The real bastard is the CEO of Value Pro. He cheated everyone, including his investors. He caused real economic damage on every level. Individually for the customers he screwed over, their employers and insurance companies, the companies he bought, including all of their employees, and the stockholders he misled. While Barry could have chosen not to invest in Value Pro, that CEO was more directly responsible for the problems. I don't blame the shareholders of Electronic Arts for the decisions that Andrew Wilson makes. He built their expectations, and he could grow a backbone and reset those expectations. Barry didn't just leave because of the issues with this side of capital. He also left because he had dreams of what his family would be, and the reality didn't match. Now that sounds horrible, but everyone has expectations of what their life will be, who the people in their life will be, and people with anxiety dream these things so much. They dream of who they will be too, so these expectations are placed on everyone, including themselves. Everyone does this to some extent, and it's typically why people are unhappy. Expectation and reality rarely meet, and it leads to disappointment. And both Seema and Barry had to grieve for what they would never get with Shiva. Neither of them was doing very well, with neither of them telling other people about Shiva's diagnosis, as if it was a great failure, when really it wasn't. It was just different. But in this reality, Barry had no place. Seema didn't need him. She even blamed him, which also was a bad sign of her own way of dealing with the diagnosis. She had very negative expectations of Barry, which is why when Shiva got hurt in the swimming pool, she decided to end their relationship as if it wasn't just an accident and something relatively typical for most first-time parents, with or without Shiva's diagnosis. I fell off a car and scarred my chin when my dad was in charge. Didn't mean my parents called it quits. Kids get hurt, and Seema is a bit overreactive and overprotective. Some may argue that that's normal for a parent of a child with this diagnosis, but it's not really okay. It doesn't really excuse overprotectiveness. Over literally means too much. She just wanted an excuse to end it. On Seema's cheating, I don't care that she slept with a married man. I do care that her taste was atrocious. She called Barry a fraud, but the biggest fraud in the whole novel is Lewis. Not because he's a rich writer almost no one cares about, but but because he is pretentious and purposely says expensive things are bad, not to his taste, or inauthentic just to appear discerning. He is also incredibly manipulative, and Seema should have been smart enough to see that he was trying to maneuver her into sex. I just want to hold hands. It would make me so happy. Bullshit. He was also one of those disgusting men who has to put a baby in every woman. He literally would watch his ejaculate dribble out of her. That's like a dog sniffing a fire hydrant after he pisses on it. Everything about him was horrible, and she started to become like him when she thought the chickpeas weren't authentic when she was out to lunch with his wife. I hated her in that moment. I was so glad that she ended it with him. Now I'm going to talk about the political stuff. So in the real world, I was pretty unsurprised when Trump won, even though there were so many leftist upper and middle class, urban poor, and academics that were so surprised. They were flabbergasted that this could happen, and I was flabbergasted that they didn't see this coming. I wrote a rather long blog article over how we ended up with Trump, and it wasn't just rural America's fault. So for me, reading more people being shocked and feeling like it's the end of the US brought all that back. I'm not going to get really political. I won't even say for whom I voted, but I will say that the depiction of the leftist rich and academics seemed pretty spot on for their insular understandings of the world, especially those rich in New York who, like Barry, have no idea what's going on everywhere else. I felt it was weird that the only Trump supporters we saw were assholes, and that we didn't see people of middle persuasion that were disgusted with the whole thing, because there were a lot of those people. I didn't like the representation of Pepe the Frog in the novel. It was stated in absolutes that the meme is a white supremacist one, but that's not true in all parts of the internet. Still today, I see it from Tumblr as a harmless if fatalistic meme. It seems that the majority of the use of it by white supremacists is on Twitter. I feel like it showed the writer's less than diverse use of the internet, because a life on other social media platforms, especially those less pithy or political, would show that Pepe still has a life as a funny image. I'll finish this up by talking about Barry's sexual foray near Sky Harbor. So gross. Not because I'm homophobic, but because the guy was soft and smelled of piss. And had Barry been sober, this is something he never would have done. Like female narratives we hear relating to intoxication of some kind in sexual activity. I mean, I still think Barry is responsible for his actions, just as any woman who knowingly takes an intoxicant and is still conscious, but it is still distasteful. It's reckless behavior. So on that note, leave a comment below. Do you think this book was funny or sad or something else? Did you sympathize with Barry? Why do you think he ran away? Did you have a problem with the infidelity? Did you hate Lewis as much as I did? What did you think of the depiction of the political climate? Any thoughts on Barry's sexual choices? Let me know below. I'm always interested. This has been the Sunday Book Circle, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, click that bell, leave a comment below, visit my blog at empatheticwriter.wordpress.com, and follow me on Patreon for exclusive content and a shout out on a video. Merch, 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 merch. Yeah! Check out my new shop at cafepress.com/AlexVoltrades for all kinds of products with my face on them.